Rev, you look at a couple of things that have passed or that the president has signed. The student loan relief, 54% approved, 46 disapproved. The Inflation Reduction Act, 55% approved, 45% disapproved. I have serious concerns with how the student debt relief bill was put together. Our act was put together for, my God, 1,000 reasons, none of which have anything to do with helping people out that are in a crunch. But I mean, we still have predatory lending. We still have colleges that are hiking tuition rates at grotesque rates, and they have been for the past 20 years. You know, for my education, I think undergrad, I paid $500 a semester and paid for law school $1,000 a semester. It's just grotesque how much these colleges are spending. I really would have preferred, for as big of a problem as this is, a more global solution to this, because right now, only thing you're doing is pouring, seems to me, pouring more gas onto the fire and just telling colleges, yeah, go ahead and hike your tuition up another 300% over the next 15, 20 years. Mm-hmm.
I think we can't underestimate the fact that 43 million Americans, young people and some older, that wanted to do the right thing, couldn't afford it, but went into college anyway and built up this debt that has in many cases strangled them for decades. So they're the victims of their own good choice. And I think that what President Biden and has proposed here is good. But at the same time, I have to agree with you, we need a global solution to deal with the escalating and unfair rates that these colleges are getting away with, the predators that have exploited this, and to put Novocaine into a situation to stop the pain on 43 million. You still have to go and get the root cavity out of the problem, which we haven't done, because the Novocaine will wear off, and you will still have people getting into debt if you don't deal with all of the surrounding issues here. So I agree with you in the long run, but I'm very happy to see that there's been some relief for some people that have been struggling for decades with bad credit, couldn't buy homes, couldn't build their wealth, had bad credit scores, only because they wanted to do the right thing with their lives. We preach to people, don't do things that are street life in many of our communities. Don't take bad choices. Go to school, be somebody. They did, and they ended up in debt. And I think there was a way we needed to relieve it.
While you're preaching, let me remind you, Jesus said to the woman at the well, where are your accusers now? And there were none. And he said, I don't accuse you either. Go and sin no more. Turn over a new leaf. We need to say that to the predatory lenders.
Right.
We need to say that to the universities that are actually putting out degrees that are worthless in subjects that are worthless, that are raking in millions and millions of dollars. And Jonathan Lemire, again, because I'm a nerd and I have nothing better to do, I went to the Google machine early this morning, and I just wanted to see, because I said, my God, I remember writing a $500 check when I went to University of Alabama and handing it to them, and that was tuition. And now it's like $36,000, $38,000. Middle class kids can't afford that, right? And so look at some of these. I found this is from 2016, and mind you, the numbers are low here, because from 2016 to 2022, chances are good, if these trends go along, it's just been jacked up even more. But in 2016, when Kamala Harris was a member of the Senate, she went to Howard. Tuition then $3,000. Tuition in 2016, $23,000. An increase of 251%. Next slide, please, TJ. Next, Bill Cassidy. He went to LSU, a state university in the Deep South. Like me, he paid about $450, $500 for tuition. Today, it's $7,800, a 526% hike. Next slide, please, TJ. Rand Paul, Baylor University, was 2,900 in 1984, 29,000 now, a 441% increase in tuition. Joe Manchin, tuition $232 then. And now it's been hiked up by 457%. You have Mike Rounds from South Dakota, and I wanted to get state colleges from across the country, from Louisiana to West Virginia, here in South Dakota, a 359% increase from when Senator Rounds went to South Dakota State University to today. And for the elites, if elite schools, if you go to like Yale University, like most Republican populists did, Yale or Harvard or Princeton, the tuition has been hiked 216%. These numbers are indefensible. And my only point is this, Jonathan Lemire, like, go ahead. If you're going to do debt forgiveness, do it in a way that tells the universities, we're going to forgive this debt, but here's the deal. If you want universities to be able to take part in the loan program, state colleges, you're going to have a fixed fee. Maybe it's a $5,000 tuition. Private universities, $10,000. You don't like that? That's fine. You don't have to do it. You don't have to be a part of the federal loan program, but we're no longer going to let you get rich off the backs of poor students, middle-class students, and taxpayers, because these people have priced middle-class Americans out of going to colleges and universities without the help of the federal government. And then you add the predatory lending rates on top of that, and it's just, this system is just a disaster. So why do this without having a more holistic approach?
Yeah, the system is so badly broken. I mean, some of the numbers you just gave out, 526% increase, 447% increase, 251% increase, and that's just a sampling. This is a real burden, and I think some criticism of what the Biden administration did was that it didn't really address the overarching affordability crisis here, the predatory loans that you mentioned. This is a White House that is known for its deliberate decision-making process, and I'm being kind there, and this one in particular really tortured this president and his inner circle. This was something that, yes, there was a campaign promise he wanted to address. Biden himself, per reporting, per people that I've talked to in the White House, had mixed feelings about this. Wasn't quite sure what to do, if it was the right decision, and if were to do it, how far to go. This was the sort of compromise that they came up with. It certainly didn't make everyone happy. There's some on the left who are angry about it. There's some on the right who are angry about it. Others say, look, it's a good step. It's a good first start. So we will see. I don't know. This is certainly not going to be the last time this White House and we have this conversation. It's a beginning, but it doesn't, you're right, it doesn't address sort of the overarching problems with an education system right now that is simply just either out of reach for so many Americans, or if they make the decision to go for it, they're then saddled with crippling debt, potentially for decades.
Coming up, the possibility of obstruction now looms over former President Donald Trump. We'll talk about his efforts to thwart investigators from recovering the documents he took from the White House.